There we go. Wiping me nose before before we go live. How you doing? Do 1 second. More viewers. G'day, Thandos, Jambo. You guys, I haven't seen your names before. You might be your first live stream. Make sure you hit the sub button. We're nearly at 1,000. Oh, you do? Thank you, mate. Thados. How do we say your name? G'day, 333 Trip. Morning, Jamie. All right, hang on. It's obviously working. Is the volume good? Is everything good? I will share this to the Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, yeehaw! Thaddeus. Okay, hopefully that was better. Derek, Pierre. What's going on? Good to have you guys here, guys and girls. Happy Mother's Day for the mothers out there. We had Mother's Day yesterday, but I know for the USA it's, is it Mother's Day evening now, I guess? Or getting close? Camilo. Dominic. We made a live stream. Wicked. 12 hours apart, 9:30 p.m. Okay. Why isn't this video coming up? What's going on here? I'm trying to get the link. Where's the link? Here we go. I got it. I got it. Copy link. Send it to Facebook. Make sure you join the Facebook group if you haven't already. We are good. Camilo, tuning in from Qatar, the Middle East, 2:30 a.m. Man, you are keen. Very nice. All right, what we're going to do today, hit the like button, of course. It's the entry fee. We can see 19 viewers and 6 likes, so 20 viewers, 6 likes. A bunch of you are not paying the entry fee on the way in, I'm telling you. I'm getting a robot, kick you all out after 30 seconds if you haven't paid the entry fee, because you can pay it on the way in, and if the video is no good, you just take it back on the way out. Click it back or hit the other down thumbs. Start with the up thumbs. If it's crap, switch it to the down thumbs. Simple. Zed is everywhere in the world. Zed is exploding. Discord numbers, I don't know, 55,000 or something or other. Plenty of stables. The races are backed up for 15 hours at 1 minute intervals, so that's crazy. So if you have some horses to race, even if they're a little bit borderline, at the moment is a very good time to race. So I hadn't been racing for the last 2 weeks because what tends to happen is after a couple of weeks after the breeding or a drop, you get some pretty weak races, but then all the weaker horses all stop racing, obviously, because they're losing money, and then you just end up with all the freaks racing each other, and it's very hard to be profitable. So I haven't been racing for 2 weeks because of that. Now, there will be a solution coming for that, I'm sure. The Zed team are looking at how to make the racing system fairer, so we're not always coming up against all these incredibly freaky horses with our horse that we just sort of bred or just bought. It's only got 1 race or 0 races under its belt. There will be a solution for that, I'm sure. But for the time being, with hundreds and maybe even thousands of races going each day, I'm sure, the races are a little weaker, so you can get away with it. Entry fee paid. Thank you, Connor. Thaddeus, thank you. Luke's paid. All you guys are paid. Joey paid. Good on you. Oh, what do I do for a living? Zed Run. No, I don't. Not yet. Zed Run doesn't pay the bills yet, especially when we get big drops, horse drops, and I spend all my ETH. And then to rub salt into the wound, ETH goes up even more the next day. So, no, at the moment I've just been reinvesting all my breeding fees and prize money back into Zed. Hopefully I can do this for a living, but what I do for a living, I'm a professional photographer. You can jump over and check out www.australianphotographer.com. You can see my work there. I also teach photography at easywayphotography.com. Colleen, hi from the USA. Yeah, Luke says once the Z team fixes some of these issues, it's going to be great. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Like, we're early days, and you see this with a lot of early projects. They explode a little bit before the team is ready, to be honest. And so for the last 2-3 months, the team has been just chasing its tail, trying to keep up with the demand and trying to upgrade the servers so that it can handle the 50,000 people. And so they're not really focused in on the gameplay and whatnot. And I've had a chat with the developers 2 or 3 weeks back quickly, and they're just like, I could see they were super exhausted. They're just burning the candle at both ends, just trying to get it done. They've got a little team. I hope they're expanding so that they can, spread the load a little bit, because it's absolutely crazy at the moment. But they're onto a good thing. We can't complain about that. They're onto an absolutely incredible thing, and it could have a huge future. We're at the very forefront of the development of the digital metaverse here with Decentraland and Sandbox and Voxels. Is that the other one? Voxels? I'm not even sure, but I know Decentraland and I know Sandbox. I've been keeping my eye on those. And is that the future? Is that kind of the next social media? Is that the next revolution? Is that the next Facebook, the next multi-billion-dollar, trillion-dollar sort of enterprise? Maybe it is. We don't know. If it is, where does Zed Run fit into that puzzle? Is Zed Run going to be the premier horse racing experience of the metaverse? Well, maybe. We've got a significant head start, haven't we? At this stage, there doesn't seem to be. There probably will be a competitor pop up in the next few months after they see, we got CryptoPunks and that explodes. And then we've got all sort of other copycat projects, don't we? I mean, I can't name them specifically at the moment, but a lot of those projects with the profile pic, the NFT profile pic, are very, very similar in the way they've been developed. Even down to, I've bought a couple of bored apes, a couple of those. They're essentially the same as CryptoPunks in how they've been developed, how they've been minted, the rarity traits, all those different things. They're a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, and I find them to be very hilariously funny, some of them. So I bought them because I like them and I think they're funny. But they're very similar to CryptoPunks. So there's a lot of copycat projects. Look, maybe Zed's harder to copycat, but I think there could be certainly copycat projects coming around. But Zed's got a significant head start, and we're building a significant community, and often that's what a lot of the driving forces behind these things are. Is the head start and the community built behind it. So let's hope. Oh, Camillo, thank you, mate. Off topic. I always enjoy a little bit of a compliment. Amazing photographer, blown away. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. It is my passion. Look, yeah, a little bit of astrophotography in there, I think. Oh, I culled out a bunch of photos, but let me see. Let me give you one beautiful astro photo. Let me see if I can I bring it up over here? Whoop, let's bring that over. Let's bring that over. Oh, why aren't you coming with me? Here we go. Before we get started, let me indulge with Luke and myself and my ego. Oh, excuse me. With one astro photo from my collection, because it's an all-time favourite and I love it, and I love the location. It's from Uluru, Australia's spiritual heart in the centre of the country. Let me show you that one, if I can. I think you'll be blown away. go. Hopefully this shows up nicely on the live stream. Put it on a black background. I'll be with you in a second. The joys of live, hey? Here we go. Here we go, let's switch screens. How about that, hey? Isn't that spectacular? That's Uluru, one of Australia's most special, stunning landscapes that we have. Okay, anyway, that's enough indulging from me. We might do that later on. We'll do another couple of my favourite photos from my career if you guys want to see them later. But anyway, let's close that down. Okay, cool. All right. TNT Racing. Oh, Colleen. Hello, I know TNT Racing. Yeah, that's true, Luke. Absolutely. You're into astrophotography yourself, mate, are you? I've got a few friends in Australia here that love astrophotography and have built a reputation on it. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Yeah, this is mine too. Well, we can't really see that well though, can we? That's one of the photos that I basically built my photography career on. I'll show you that in full screen at some later date as well. But yeah, I've won a lot of awards for that particular photo, and it's probably the photo that I'm most well known for. All right. We're talking about, enough about me. Let's talk about how to build a stable. How to build your stable. So, you know, a lot of us haven't been as lucky as myself to be here 12 months ago almost and slowly build up a stable. Yeah, James, I've been thinking about that, is jumping on the NFT bandwagon. We can hang my photos in our Decentraland offices, potentially. We might do that. I helped a friend who does this incredible graffiti art mint up one of his pieces the other day. And it's really, really easy and really quite exciting. But I have been thinking about minting up some of my own, but at the moment I'm really busy with Zed Run and a few other things, but who knows, we might do that. We might just do that. All right, so building your stable. How do we build up from, like, imagine we've got no horses now, or maybe you've got one horse at the drop. So let's go with the one horse at the drop first. And you can also use this example if you've got 3 or 4 horses and your dream is to have 50 or 100. Now 50 or 100 Genesis, if you've only got one Genesis or no Genesis right now, is starting to become significantly more difficult than what it was before because the prices have gone up. Now it's not to say you can't do it, but it might just take longer and longer and longer, and we don't know what the prices are going to do. Who knows? Maybe, and I think this might happen actually, maybe when we have a crypto cool-off, okay, because at the moment we're in the midst of a pretty significant bull run, and obviously remember, none of what I say on this channel is financial advice. Let's just put a big underline under that, because it isn't. I really don't know what I'm talking about, but all this is my opinion and how I would maybe navigate if I was now building a stable without having a significant head start. Now, what if when the stock markets and crypto, because we're in the everything bubble, or it could be even inflation related. Well, it seems to be inflation related, doesn't it? Because everything's going up. That generally means the dollar is going down. Now, what happens when that turns around and goes the other way? Now, we don't know if that's going to last another 6 months, another 12 months, another who knows how long, or whether or not it snaps and turns around, you know, this week. We don't know. But what happens to Zed Run when that happens is going to be really, really interesting. If we get an event, a liquidation event, that where a lot of people have to sell assets, and selling a lot of Zed Run horses into the Zed Run marketplace. We even saw on the weekend with the drop that there's still Z1s and 2s left. There are still, maybe not 1s. There's still 2s and 3s, left from one of the last drops. There's about 20 of them left just sitting there. If you have the link to the last drop, I'll put it in the comments below. The description below after this video is finished. If you've got a budget that's big enough to spend 20,000 US dollars or whatever it is for a 2, or about 15,000 for a 3, pretty expensive in my opinion, what they put the prices up to. There's still a couple of those, several of those left. At least there was last night. I haven't checked this morning. James, okay, yeah, with the NFTs, when I launch them, I'll let you guys know and you can grab some. If I do launch, I'll be doing really low runs. Like maybe some of them will be 101s, some of them will be maybe 10s or 100s, There won't be 10,000s or 100,000s. They'll be really, really low. More likely to be about in the range of 10 per photo, something like that. Put it up in your Metaverse. Why not? Why not? We could do that. Yeah, Luke says there's still about 100 each, 1s, 2s, 3s and 4s yet to be released. No, that's true, but there's also a bunch of 2s and 3s sitting unpurchased at that particular link. I'll put that link in the description after this video is finished, so that if you do have that size budget, you can go and buy another Genesis if you like. Now, how do we build those stables, as I said? Now, as I said, if you've got 1 or 2 Genesis and you're looking to have 20 or 50, it's probably a long game. You probably have to, how would I go about that? Well, let's assume you've got 1 horse to begin with, and let's navigate around that. Now, if your 1 horse is a female, you've got a Genesis female, do you race it if you've only got 1 Genesis female? It's a gamble. It is a gamble. Because if you race it and you get 30 to 1 odds or 40 to 1 odds, then the value of that horse drops, and even the value of the offspring or the desirability or the demand for the offspring has probably taken a significant hit. Now, if you race it and that horse is getting $5, $6 odds, we saw that, what was that, Z10 the other day? Oh no, was it Z9 or 10? There was some new kid on the block, a Z9 or 10, that was getting $2 and $3 odds. Just phenomenal. That horse has probably gone from, being purchased for a couple of $100 to now being worth 5 to 10 Ethereum maybe, somewhere around about there. So that's pretty interesting. Now, if you had that horse, do you keep it and build your stable, use it as a foundation to build the stable, or do you sell it and try and buy 10 or 12 more Genesis horses? It's interesting, isn't it? But look, if you have 1 Genesis and it's a female, then the simple solution is, whether you race it or not, that's up to you. There's some risks in racing it, because obviously if it's bad odds or bad results, or results don't tend to matter, odds are the main one at the moment. Odds, you could come last in your first Griffin, but if you've got $3 or $4 or $5 odds, it's an absolute gun horse, no doubt about it. So just be careful of being duped out of that horse because someone's seen the $4 odds and knows how significant those odds are, and you're a bit disappointed because you come last and someone says, I'll give you half an ETH for it because it's clearly not very good when they know it is. So be careful of that, number one. Okay, so if you've got a female, then when breeding opens, you're going to be able to have your choice of all of those stallions, all of those studs in there, and you just probably want to look for another Genesis that has a 15% win rate, something like that. But, you also don't want to pay the world for it. So if you can find like a 15% win rate, but the stud fee is pretty reasonable, it might mean when stud opens that you have to sit there and keep refreshing and checking all the horses as they're dropped in, because you will get some cheap ones. Last time stud opened, I bred a Z2 Legend, so Genesis 1 with a Genesis 1, because someone put a male Z1 in there for, it was crazy, like $80 or something. So I ended up getting a Z2 Legend for $80. And obviously that was snapped up like that. But yeah, if you just keep your eye on it, you'll see some really good value top studs, and you can breed with your Genesis mare 2 more offspring. And then you could potentially either sell those offspring unraced or race them. Hopefully you get some good ones. And then that builds up the reputation of your mare. If you get some bad ones, then people aren't really keeping a great eye on breeding just yet. So maybe you can get away with it. But you could even, for the time being, there'll be enough demand. There'll be enough demand to sell them unraced, I think. All right, so you go from 1 Genesis, now you've got 1 Genesis and 2 Legends, potentially. And then those 2 Legends, depending, if they're both mares again, you can dip back into the stud market and get some more genes back into your stud by breeding those 2 mares back up into the stud market as well. Okay, so you can keep doing that down the line and pretty quickly build up a stable. Now, the thing is, how far down the line do you want to go breeding these horses without checking if they're any good? So for example, you go from an unraced mare into unraced Legends, which is the offspring of that unraced mare. And then those Legends, when you breed them again, will go from Legends to exclusives. And then you've got unraced exclusives. Now, if they're mares as well, you can breed them again with the studs in the stud farm, but you're sort of going unraced to unraced to unraced. So the risk that, are you breeding donkeys with donkeys by the time you get to that point? It comes a bit, not too sure. But at this point, I think, in my opinion, not financial advice, in my opinion, there's enough demand to sort of get away with those unraced ones. Now, I think in the future that when breeding opens, we're going to see a flood of bred horses come in, like an absolute tsunami of bred horses come in. Now, initially, they'll be soaked up by the demand in the marketplace, but I don't think it will take long for the bred horses to overpower the demand and they start to sit there for longer and longer and longer. Then the prices start drop. Look, I don't think that will take long. And then what's going to happen is the horses that don't have any significant, or potentially going to happen, the horses that don't have anything significantly special about them, so they don't have a great race record, maybe they don't have a great offspring race record, maybe they don't have a special rare colour, anything like that, then there's going to be a lot of those average Joe horses. So how are we going to sell them? Well, often the only way to sell them when there's too many of them for the market to soak up, to buy up, is to keep dropping the prices to sort of clear your shelves, to clear your stock. All right, and that's how the market will be potentially forced down, because there'll be too many, well, there may be too many average Joe horses and not enough buyers. More buyers will keep coming in, but depends on, like, last time we had the breeding open for only, I think, 2 or 3 days, and there was 3,000 horses bred. So if we have the breeding open indefinitely next time, which is the plan, to open it and not close it, it only closed because there was a glitch. If we have it open indefinitely, what can we do a month? I think 20,000 is not beyond the realms of possibility, maybe even 30,000 in a month. Now, will that all be soaked up? We don't know. But that's one way to build the stable. Now, you want to probably be a little bit careful with that. If you've got a whole bunch of horses, you might get away with the first breed. Like when the breeding opens, I'm going to go and breed all my horses into all my stallions into as many mares as I have. Will I be able to get away with that for, the next 3 or 4 months? Look, maybe. And the only reason I think that I can get away with that is because over the last 12 months, I've been racing my horses and only keeping the best races. So now I've got 50 or 60 of the best 15 to 20 to even 25% studs and mares, stallions and mares, and fillies and colts as well. All right, so when the demand floods, there still should be a demand for the high quality races because there's only a handful of them in the system. All right, so just be careful of that too. Let me do a few question wrap-ups before we keep moving along. All right, guys and girls, 52 viewers and 24 likes. There's a lot of people not paying the entry fee. As I said, the entry fee costs nothing. Just hit the like button And if you don't like the content at the end of the video, you can switch it to a thumbs down. All right, let's have a look at some of these questions, and then we'll go on to how you navigate around if you've only got a couple of stallions or colts in your stable and build. So the mares are easy because you can pick the best studs that you can afford and build up. And look, even if your mare is not the greatest mare, if you're breeding with some of the greatest horses that you can afford, then those genetics are probably going to pay off. And if you're really careful on breeding only with the best, to a certain degree, it's probably going to make your mare look like a superstar. Do you know what I mean? Because even if your mare's no good, if you're breeding with the best, let's assume the genetics are coming down somewhat 50-50, then all of a sudden should be a reasonable chance that some of your offspring are going to be good, even if your mare is not that good. All right, so if you selectively breed, it's going to make your horses look better. I think it will. It might. It's a good little edge to probably consider. Camillo asks a great question here. Why does the price decrease so much once a horse is raced, actually? Oh, that's right, I got this chart up here. Now, one of the Zed races in the Facebook group, Poseidon Racing Facebook group, link to join in the description, posted this, and unfortunately, I'm not sure the original source from Zed Run Discord to give credit there. All right, so thank you if you're out there. If you're in the chat now, let me know if you created this chart, and I'll give you a shout out. So this is interesting. So these are the recent Zed drop prices, I believe, or close to. They fluctuate a little bit depending on ETH. 36,019 down to 123 for a Z10. Now, if we look through here, it's really interesting because unraced are currently apparently going for about 38,000. So just a slight premium above what Zed was charging. So it looks like Zed found pretty much the floor. In fact, I would even go as far to say as 36,000 is probably not the long-term floor. I would think you could probably get a Z1 horse slightly under that, unraced, at some point in the next couple of weeks. Maybe not, but I think you might be able to. And same with Z2s. They're sitting at kind of, they're 19,000 on the day and kind of selling for 20, so there's not much there. And I think, again, look, in the coming weeks, I think you might be able to get one slightly under that value as well. Same for the Z3s. The Z4s are showing a little bit more premium. Okay, a little bit more premium, about 20% premium it looks to be there on the unraced. Similar with the 5s, and then once you get to the 6s, they're showing a double plus, 100% plus. The 7s, look at this. If you bought some 7s, and I think we got one 7 or maybe one or two 7s, maybe one. They're showing an incredible premium, about 400%. Similar premium on the 8s, 400%, roughly about 500% on the 9s. And looks to be about 600 or so % on the 10s, which is pretty crazy. So if you were buying in this range and you got lots of them, you've done very well potentially financially. Now, why are the raced ones significantly lower? Well, you'll see that the race Z1s are not so much, and that's got to do with the fact that the average raceability of a Z1 is rather high. So there's not much standard deviation of where you race a Z1 from the worst to the best is not all that much. Well, it is, but you still get a pretty good horse if it's a race Z1. All right, but then when you come down here, it basically comes down to the fact that the majority of Z10 raced horses are not that great. There's a few really good ones, there's a few okay ones, and the rest of them are not very good at all. So, depending what you're getting. So, I mean, these numbers would be significantly inflated by one or two epic horses going for 4 or 5 Ethereum, maybe even higher. And then the rest is being deflated, if you like, or brought back to ground level by the vast majority of Z10s being not very good and probably selling for around, 2 or 3, or maybe not 200, but maybe 300, something like that, 300-400. I haven't looked at the stats to know exactly what the ordinary Z10s are going for. What are the ordinary Z10s going for? But look, I wouldn't want to be paying 500 or 600 for an ordinary Z10, that's for sure. But I could be wrong. I could be proven wrong. Maybe an ordinary Z10 in the future is going to be worth a heap more than that. But I don't know. But absolutely, the majority of the raced horses aren't that good, and so that's why it affects here. So in all these classes, in all the raced numbers here, they are being significantly inflated by the best of the best, and then significantly deflated by the worst of the worst in that class or in that Z number. So even as you come down to say Z4s, you know, the best of the best Z4 might be going for 20 ETH or more. You know, what's that, 20 ETH? We're talking $75,000, 70, 75, something like that. And then the worst one might be going for like $5,000, like a couple of ETH. Oh, a couple of ETH, that's like 1.5 ETH. I'm not sure. Not sure exactly, but that would be what's influencing those. Let's just jump back for a moment. We'll jump back over here for a moment. Colleen, thank you so much for the filtering tip in between drops. Helped you score a couple of finnies. Yes, it was much, much easier, wasn't it? I started doing that in the next link that we got as well, and it was much more successful. Much more successful. So that was great. So I was sort of on my way out to soccer training then. I thought I'll just jump on, do that quick 5-minute video, and hopefully help a few. And in fact, the ones that were watching that video that day all seemed to get horses. So that was absolutely brilliant, because after the drop finished, a lot of the other forums was a lot of people disappointed that they didn't get a horse. But interestingly, when I did the drop wrap up, nearly all the viewers, or most of the viewers, were like, yes, I got a horse, yes, I got a horse. So it must have been to some degree that little helpful tip, I think, which is great to be able to help you get a horse. Camillo, still a few Z2s left, is there? Okay. Maybe the 3s are all sold out. Christopher, how do you get horse odds? There's heaps of stat sites, heaps and heaps of stat sites and tools. If you join the Facebook group, I'm building a Zed Tools resources file, all right, which we're going to store in the files section. It's not there yet, it's currently a post, but if you scroll through the post, you'll find the Zed Tools resources page, and you can just flick through them, and some of them have the odds, some of them have all different things. Most of them have the odds or average odds, and you can see them there. Gucci, how do I see which races my horse is entered into? Go to upcoming races and filter via my horses is the best way. What, Bastian, what is my view on a U-shaped horse across two classes? Well, the U-shape or V-shaped horses are generally, classes don't affect them that much. And at the moment, the way the class system is set up, they are probably the best horses. As we move forward and we get those big tournaments though, that's what I'm really looking forward to, those big tournaments where you have multiple entry races in the first round, like 32 races, and then half the field from 7 to 12 gets knocked out and you move up to 16, and then half the field gets knocked out, you move up to 8, then to 4, then to 2, then the final. The U-shaped horses, and if they become the premium events with the big prize money and the big sponsorships, those U-shaped horses may not be the best way to go in those events. We don't know. At the moment, in singular racing, U-shaped horses are incredibly valuable. But in multi-tier racing, is that going to be the premium event? Much like the World Championship of Poker? Imagine we have the World Championship of Zed Run horse racing. Are you with me? The World Championship of Zed Run horse racing would be epic. Absolutely epic. We could start with literally 128 races times 12 horses or more. We could start with multiple tiers of racing and then come together. You know, we could start with literally 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000 horses at the beginning to come down to one world champion. If you don't think that is coming, it absolutely has to be coming. Of course it's got to be coming. The World Championship of Zed Run, it will be here within, I would say, a year. That's my guess. There's a hot tip for you. Will the first class horses get through that? Not many, will they? Because they generally come first or literally come last. And if you have to get through, like to win the World Championship of Zed Run, let's assume we're starting with 10,000 horses. So what's that divided by 12? It probably doesn't go into, but calculator. 10,000 divided by 12. So you're starting with about 80 races, 83 races. Now that has to be divisible by 2 and then 2 and then 2 and then 2 to get up to the top. So whatever we need to do to get to that level, we would have to change the number of races to suit. But you know, there could be, in the World Championship of Zed Run, could be multiple distance. Could be random distance, random gate, random weather, random everything. And you just enter all your horses into a big pool and they randomise the starts. You know, maybe randomise all the events so you really don't know what's going on. That would be insane. But is a first last style horse going to get through, say, 30 tiers of racing? It's unlikely, isn't it? If the bottom 6 horses are dropping out every time, it's unlikely. So then so your horse basically has to finish 6 or above 30 times in a row. And you think, well, that's impossible. And you might think that's impossible, but with the style of racing, someone has to do it, don't they? Because there's always going to be a top 6 horses in every tier of every race. And all of those horses will have finished top 6 in the previous rounds. So even when you get to the second last and last round, like all of the horses in there will finish top 6. Whether they come 6th and 5th and 4th and 6th and 5th and 4th and they've made the final and they jag a lucky win. That sounds awesome to me. Let's bring it on. Let's get that going. Exciting times. There's so many exciting little avenues and niches and roads on the roadmap where we can take this. And look, we the players are the ones that are going to guide this for sure to a certain degree. In the future they're talking about, you know, decentralizing and having a DES coin it's going to be. Z backwards, the DES coin. And Genesis owners are going to get an allotment based on how many Genesis you have and what number Genesis that is. You're going to get an allotment of DES coins. And then they're talking about having a decentralized voting system to guide the roadmap in the future, handing it completely over to the players at some point. Whether or not that happens, it could be. Connor getting $8 odds with your Z10. That's pretty good. Yep, that's a decent horse. I'll talk about colts next, won't we? How do you build a stable if you've only got colts? We might do that now. James, lucky one who grabbed a Z2 colt from that drop. Panic and quickly grabbed a Z2 legendary and Z9 Genesis. Imagine how much I overpaid. Well, I don't know. You know, time's a funny thing in Zed Run. I thought I overpaid for a lot of horses back in the day. And each time, like I feel like I've overpaid for my Z1 and Z2s in the recent drop. I feel like they're pretty expensive, to be honest. But every time I feel like I overpaid for something, 2 weeks or a month go by and I think it's pretty much a bargain. Whether or not that happens again, I don't know. I mean, how far up can we go? That's the question, right? Sky's the limit, but the moon, we're certainly heading towards the moon, aren't we? But do you run research? It's just a bit of fun, like not financial advice. Any idea when breeding's going to open? I would say in the next 2 weeks. Breeding update, Jay has apparently said breeding update coming in the next 48 hours. That's awesome. My thoughts on crappy odds Genesis. Worth acquiring long term? Luke, I was at one stage, a couple of drops ago, 2-3 drops ago, I sold a lot of my not so good Genesis, and I sold them really, really cheap. Like I was selling Z10s at like $80, right? Can you imagine? Crazy me, right? But that's great. It was getting some players in. I thought it was a decent price because they weren't very good. And to be honest, I only paid $40 for them. So I was doubling my money. I was happy. If I had my time again, I would keep all the Genesis I ever bought. And I'm sort of heading down that path now where I'm just absolutely hodling Genesis to see what develops in the future, because for the main reason, on just a pure collectability level, as the horses explode from breeding and get to 1 million or 2 million horses in the first year, will they? Maybe. They absolutely could. Then those 38,000 Genesis or whatever it is are going to form only a fraction of a percent, 0.5%, 0.25%. And as we keep breeding more and more and more, they'll get down to being 0.1%, 0.01%, to the point where seeing a Genesis is like seeing a unicorn. We may as well put the horn on their foreheads and just call them unicorn horses, because they'll be very rare to be seen. People will be talking, wow, there's a Genesis in this race. How cool is that? We don't see Genesis in races anymore. And the Genesis only races will be quite a novelty, because all the old, famous horses of Breathless Edge and Grandeur and Baroque and, all these top horses, Ducky Malin, these horses will all come out to play, and you'll see all these Genesis. And it won't be something you see too much in the ecosystem or too much in breeding, because there's 2 million horses and there's only 38,000 Genesis. So, all my bad Genesis, I'm not letting go. Don't have many bad ones anymore. I sold most of them, but there were a couple that were, a little bit worse than others. I'm keeping them. Yeah, Raymond, if you are buying from OpenSea, you've got to check Zed first to make sure the horse isn't in a race, because there's a little glitch there where OpenSea will say that it's 0 races, but it could be sitting in the line for its race, and the owner might have seen that the odds are 30-1, and quickly put it on OpenSea, hoping to sell it before everyone discovers that the odds are pretty ordinary. All right, a little bit of a hack there. Best resource to find a mare pair to keep the offspring. What do you mean mare pair, James? A pair of mares? OpenSea is probably the best place. Weath transfer taking all day. Yeah, it can take a while. Cortland. It depends on the demand. What was Luke's question? Oh, crap odds. Yeah, Kevin, we've had this racing queue before. Before, when we had one of the last drops or breeding, it was 5-minute intervals, and we were getting out towards 24 hours. Again, they're going to find a solution for this. What I think they need to do is probably split the classes into chunks so that there's overlapping races. So, for example, you could have a Class 5 and a Class 1 running together, but currently there's some sort of freeze issues with that. So whether or not they need to split them off onto different, servers or something for different classes, I don't know, but there will be a solution for that coming. You just got to be a little bit lenient, because as I said at the start of this video, Zed Run have just been running around with like chooks with their heads cut off for the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, 3 months even, just trying to keep up and band-aid solutions for the incredible demand coming into the ecosystem. And all of us players have been like, when breeding, when drop, when this, when that, fix it, fix it, fix it. So, they got the drop going. Wasn't perfect, we understand that. Let's hope they do a better job of that next time. It wasn't perfect, but they got that out, they got that done. I think breeding's next. And then they're also working on class systems and, race time systems. So that's going to be fixed. You just got to be a little bit patient and understand where we are in the road. We're very right at the start line of Zed Run. This game is going to be huge. The development behind it is enormous, because there's so many different aspects to the breeding, to the racing, to the overall metaverse and the tracks, where there's going to be buy your own tracks and so many good things coming, but we have to be patient. Joey, have about 0.4 ETH for a horse, new to Zed, have 0 horses. Looking to breed and race over time. What sort of horse would you get? You know, look, Joey, Genesis, if you can get a Genesis unraced, not overpay for it. And if we look at this chart, if we look at this chart here, and we come down and compare the left to the middle, unraced, you can see that, you know, in here, or from, say, even from Z6 upwards, the premium is not horrible from what you paid at the drop to what you have to pay now. Z6 is at double is a bit how you're going, but Z5s, you know, only a slight premium. I think you'll get a Z5. Now I know 0.4 is not 3,800, okay, but let me just complete this. A Z5 unraced, I think you'll probably in the next couple of weeks, I would hope, well, I'm not hope, but I think you might be able to get one slightly under 3.8. And same for the Z4, slightly under 6.4. Now that's probably out of your range as we get up there. Now as you come down, 0.4, look, that's going to get you close to a Z6 drop, but you're still well off here, aren't you? You're still not in the game here either. Do you want to pay $1,200 for a Z8? No, I don't think you do. I don't know. I think I'd probably prefer to take my chances at the next drop. Now, when the next drop is released, I'm going to do 2 or 3 videos, a whole week of videos on how I think we might be able to, you know, turn the next drop in our favour. Now, last time I didn't want to talk about sharing links and this and that, but everyone did it, and all the good guys kind of were left behind, if you like. I'm not saying that the guys that shared links and did all this are the bad guys. They were just doing what they had to do to get the horses that they wanted. That's fair enough. Next time, if there's an angle shot, and you know we can take that angle shot, I'm going to tell you how to do it next time. Whether or not that's a good thing for Zed. There's limited drops left. So if I can help you guys get the best shot at it, I certainly will. So in saying that, Joey, I think if 4 ETH is your total budget, I might wait and see I might wait and be patient and see if you can get one at the next drop. Or if you have to get a horse right now, I would be looking for a mare, a bred mare, either a legendary or an exclusive mare that has parents with good racing pedigree. Okay, that would be my second part to that question. All right, before we keep going with those questions, this is going to be a big one. Hit the like button, hit the sub button. Are we getting to 10,000 subs, guys? We were close. Help me push over the line. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? What does my... We might be close. We probably haven't got... I only got 3 subs since I've been live, which is great. Thank you for those subs, but we're still at 981. We got 19 to go. If there's 19 of 48 out there that are unsubbed, what's stopping you? You know, what's stopping you? We just said that we're going to help you get the most horses at the next drop. That's got to be worth a sub. If you don't sub, you might miss out. And if you haven't hit the like button on the way in for your entry fee, cha-ching, hit the like button. You can hit the dislike on the way out if the content sucks. I think I've already given you enough content for the 1 like though. Surely. Anyway, whatever. Maybe you're not signed up. Maybe you're not signed up to YouTube, but sign up to YouTube because then you can be a sub and you can get all the good content. And we're going to have some giveaways for subs only coming up soon too. I might even next drop, I might go in and specifically buy a couple of Z9 or 10s to give away if I can get them. Maybe. I don't like giving away Z9s or 10s to be honest, but we might just do that. I am going, when breeding opens, I'm going to breed a nice horse with good pedigree, race pedigree from my horses, and we're going to give that away. Okay, David, Oh, that's right. Hang on. We'll come back to the questions in a moment. Thanks, guys, for the extra likes there. We're getting close. 42 likes, 48 viewers. Okay, so now we talked about, if you missed the start when we were talking about how to build up with mares, then jump back and check that out on the replay. Now, if you've only got 1 or 2 colts in your stable currently, how are you going to build that stable up? Because when it comes to breeding, in the public breeding barn, it's all males, colt stallions. All right, mostly stallions, because once you breed, your horse goes from a colt to a stallion. And if you've only got colts or stallions in your stable currently, you don't have access to the public breeding. So what you need to do, you need to start building a network of other stables. And this is a really good idea in general. Any people that have got great horses in, I am getting on Discord or private messaging or finding these people if I can and say, hey, I like that horse, Lollipop. Don't even know if that's a horse, but your horse, Lollipop, is doing great things in racing. I really think it's a top horse. Do you want to breed that with like Insane Him? Or do you want to breed it with Wall Street? You know, I've been doing that and forming these networks to really bring in and produce the best racing pedigree offspring I can possibly do. Now that's what you need to do if you've only got colts in your stable, is start reaching out to other people. Now if your colts or stallions are unraced in your stable, then probably reaching out to Lollipop with 100 races and a 25% win rate and 3 Ethereum in profit, you know, that might be a little bit beyond your batting above your average, you know, trying to get the girl that's a little bit beyond your range. Now, it's worth a shot, for sure. The more times you ask these people, the more times you might get lucky and someone says, yeah, sure. So absolutely jump out there. But if you get rejected 50 times, you know, sure, put out the 50 times and see how you go. But if you get rejected 50 times, you might have to come back into where your range is going to be. And look, what I'm trying to do is we do a 50-50 split. You know what I mean? So we split the cost 50-50 and we get 1 offspring each. And now generally there can be a little bit of toing and froing. Okay, which offspring do we get? One colour might be rare, one colour might be common, someone might want a mare, someone might want a stallion. Now if you want one of each or whatever, that's fine. But if you, for example, both want a mare, what I tend to do is say, right, let's agree 50-50 split. And then you can choose, I often let the other person choose, you can choose if you want firstborn or the secondborn, and we just roll the dice. You know, that works really well. Now sometimes if the breeding is insignificantly in someone's favour, you've got a horse like Grandeur, who is a Zed Run superstar, sort of breeding with a lesser mare, you know, a legendary, then sometimes I will say, yeah, we'll do a 50-50 split, but I want to choose the specific offspring to bring back to my stable. Okay, so you can sort of even it out that way as well. But absolutely, so start looking around, message people on Discord, look, watch the races, see which the good horses are, see which ones might like to breed with your horse, and go from there. All right, how's that sound? So that's how you build up, you know, build up those stables, but try and breed with the best racing horses you can, because it's going to give you better offspring and make your horses look slightly better or even significantly better than breeding with other randoms or, you know, other random unraced horses, or even breeding with, you know, maybe ordinary race record horses. All right, let's have a look at questions and then we'll wrap it up. We've been going, what have we been going for? Probably nearly an hour. Make sure you hit the sub button. We're going to get to 1,000 today. We're probably not going to get there on the stream though, are we? Because most of you are loyal subs that jump in with me. All right, questions. David Wolf. When racing first 20 to 30 races, if we only have 2 horses, would you recommend protecting the win percentage and focusing early on the length? Yeah, David, absolutely, no doubt about it. Win percentage is one of the key indicators of how good your horse is and how desirable your horse is going to be to other breeders, to other buyers. You know, some people are like, well, the other indicator is ETH1. So some people will like tank races purposefully lose to try and win more ETH? Not me. I think in the long run, you really want to try and protect both of those stats. Okay, protect your win percentage, and also, you know, you can slowly win more and more ETH over time. But if you destroy a 25% win rate all the way down to 10% just to win more ETH, then that's done. The chances of you getting back to 25% are like zero. It's just not going to happen if you destroy that. Now, there was a horse, I'll give you a good example. There was a horse called a Z10 horse. What was it called? It was epic at 2400 and 2600. Can't remember what the horse is called now. That had a win percentage of about 25%. And the new owner got it pretty cheap, to be honest. I think he only paid about 1 or 2, about 1 ETH, maybe even 0.7. But he tanked that horse down to about a 10% win rate. And it's got a lot of ETH won, but the win percentage is rubbish now. It's not a 10% winner. It's a major underperformer because the owner has been running it in like 1,000-metre races and 1,200s and 1,400s. When it wins at like 25%, it wins at 25%. Let me just switch back. It was winning 25% at like 22, 24, 2,600. And that is, you know, that's significantly affected the value of that horse, in my opinion. You know, but, you know, figure that out. You know, have a think about that yourself. Another question from David. Breeding, do you think breeding to specialised distance will be important? That's my hunch. That's what I'm doing. Now again, potentially in the long run, if we have these huge tiered world championships and they're all randomised, random distance, random gates, random weather, you might be better off trying to breed a really, really consistent horse that finishes in the top 6 a lot, that is also good at a lot of distances. But for the time being, I think the early great races, for me, what I'm trying to do is breed sprinters with sprinters, mid-range with mid-range, long range with long range. Could be wrong, but for the time being, that's my tactic. And then later on, I'll worry about creating the best all-round horse, sorry. I'll worry about that later. 5x for a Z9, I'm sure there's plenty of that going on, James, for sure. I'm sure there's plenty of that going on. Breeding should open hopefully in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Apparently there's an announcement on Discord coming in the next 48 hours about the timeline of breeding. George, one of my Z10s picked up from the drop running 5 and 7 odds in 1600. Nice work. You want to sell it to me? Just joking. Hold on to that one. Thinking to breed with my Naka. Yeah, hope it comes out of Supercoat and is a beast. Well, you got a lot of good stuff coming from that horse for sure. Filtering by colour is the best option. Okay, trip 33. Oh, 333. Cool. I'm glad that worked. It wasn't working for me, to be honest. I couldn't, the colour buttons wouldn't click, the little checkboxes for some reason, so I ended up going with filtering by Z number and filtering by male or female to narrow it down, and that was working pretty well. Mark, hello, back to you, mate, too. If you're new, a sub button, we're trying to reach 1,000. We might even get it on stream. Heaps of potential, Luke, for sure. Oh, you guys are giving heaps of questions. I've lost my spot. Where did it all go? Did my mic blow out? Oh, what's wrong with the mic? That's what happens when you don't watch the... Oh, bugger. All right, we got robot voice. Don't know what happened, guys. I don't know what happened there. Normally, I've got the Road Lab there. Normally does that sometimes. Zed Run, digital world, robot voice. Yeah, I've been holding the chat back at the top for the questions, but whatever, robot voice. It's all good. We'll wrap that up. I'll just have a quick scan through here if there's anything important. Actually. That should be fixed. Anyway, we'll delete this video after. So this will be a live only video because I don't want that crappy audio sitting there. But let's have a quick screen. You guys all hung around even though the audio sucked. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let me have a quick scan through the questions and see if I can find where I'm up to. I was up to where the mic said, Mike. Robot voice, here we go. Mike, most of the questions are going to be this. Mike, audio bugged. Is it back now? Yeah, we're back. Sorry about that. It wasn't too bad. What is your opinion of this filly? Has good odds for 22, 24 metres, but don't win any. Keep trying. Raisin. Fix the mic, please. It's the beauty of live, isn't it? Thanks for being so polite, B. Yes, absolutely. Deep fake. Is that what they call it? Deep fake when it's all AI created content? There's still a few questions here. Hey mate, quick cue. Threw my Z7 into a Griffin and it won and jumped at $7 odds. Was forced to throw it in a class 3, same distance. Not necessarily a donkey. There's certain horses that are really, really consistent. If you go back a few videos, I explained how the odds work on that. If you've got a horse that is going to, let's say, grade the races, let's grade the run strength of individual horses between 1 and 5, 1 being really great winning runs, and 5 being absolute horrible last runs. If you've got a horse that consistently runs grade, race strength 3s, then in a Griffin against horses that are running 3s and 4s and 5s, you can get really nice odds. But then when you put it in a paid race with horses that, run a few 1s and 2s, then your odds are going to blow out. So you might have a really consistent horse. All right, you might have a really consistent horse. So hang on to it. It could be a good breeder, but it's probably not that, particular U-shaped curve racer that we're looking for. Yeah, sorry about the robot. Virtual surgery, broken leg. Yeah, I've got a few 3-legged horses. Yeah, that wasn't the mic. That's how I normally sound. I run it through a synthesizer to get a normal human voice. Not going to argue. Hey, sold a horse, 11th hour for 0.2. Good price or stupid? Horse couldn't win anything, but it was an exclusive mare. We don't know. If it couldn't win anything, then that sort of gives a hint that maybe it doesn't have the great genetics that its parents had. My tactic is to breed down the line, but always check for great race genetics, because I believe great race ability points to the fact that it's pulled down good genetics from the parents. We know skipping generations is probably a thing too, but I'll run through how I think breeding works, and I think a lot of light bulbs will be like, you might be right there. And in that case, I believe that best practice is probably to breed good races with good races all the way down the line. Is the mic good now? Hopefully the mic's good. We'll do a horse analyzer again soon, Monica. We won't do that right now because it's been a long robotic session. I tell you what I need to do for those robotics is put these in, don't I? I got these little, yeah, okay, in future, because then I can hear my own voice. If I put that in, that's why I got these. That's why. Yeah, I can hear my own voice now. It's kind of a little bit annoying though. But maybe I can do that so I can hear the robots in future. I will. Improve the stream. Anyway. How much will it cost to breed my Z10 female with another Z10 from the stud farm? Look, it could be anywhere from minimum, I can't remember what minimum was, but it might be as low as like 0.05. But if you want to breed with a really great racer, it could be 0.2, 0.3, something like that. Yeah, Operation Wolf actually refused a link from a friend in the first wave, trying to play by the rules, not doing that again. Yeah, let's make sure that we know how to turn the drop into our advantage next time. We'll definitely be doing that. Yeah, I wasn't searching for other links last drop, but then a couple of my mates who couldn't get a horse, you know, they said, right, let's all three of us jump on, my brother, me and my mate, and let's try and get a horse for my friend who hadn't got a horse. And then once we got that horse, we're like, right, we got you a horse, beauty, let's buy a couple more horses and see how we go. So by the end, we were sort of using shared links. And look, other people were doing it. I'm not going to lie and say that we weren't doing it. In the beginning, I wasn't planning on doing it, but after everyone else was doing it, I'm like, well, you know, let's get our friends horses because they were struggling and get a few more horses to boot. Yeah, the breeding's somewhat unknown. Not going to argue. You know, bought it for 0.09 a month ago. You made a profit. And if you breed it with really, really good horses, you might do well. George played 100% by the rules and got 2 horses. Well done, mate. That's awesome. You did well. Is the audio buzzing again? Or is that an old question? No, we're still good. That's an old one. It was going for a while, wasn't it? I haven't scrolled. Sheesh. Oh. Don't need to get so worked up. It's only live YouTube, Morton. Who cares? Sizzler looks great, hey? 4 races, 4 wins. Oh, cool. All right. That might be one to keep an eye on. Let's have a look at that one. Sizzler. The reason I'm having a look is because I might want to contact them and breed with Sizzler. Z8 Colt, Buterin, Genesis. All right, I'll need to look deeper. It's only had 4 races, 4 wins. Could be getting lucky. It happens. Yeah, be careful of scammers. Luke says be careful on Discord. It's full of scammers. Yeah, there's my Facebook page, Poseidon Facebook page, link in the details. It's a private page, so we don't have any robots in there. If you don't answer the first couple of questions, you don't get in. So there's no sort of, it's all legit people and friendly people. And look, we punted a guy out or a girl out the other day. I'm not sure if it was a guy or a girl because they were, you know, just being antagonistic and that kind of stuff. And we don't want that stuff in there. Sure, you can have your opinion, but, you know, if you phrase it and start blaming people and calling people out and being antagonistic, if you frame it the right way, it's okay, but... Filtered Nakamoto high price, yeah, that'll work. You guys are all having a good laugh at me stuffing up the stream. Who cares, right? Ah, fixed it. There we go. Good info even with the mic. We got 56, 47 likes. Hit the like button. Did we get any subs? Probably throughout the fuzz robot voice, you're like unsubbing. We went backwards. I don't know, CJ Rise, whether the Z9 or 10 inflated prices will start coming down. There's still a lot of demand for the Z9 10s. And they didn't release as many as I thought they would release way more than that. So I'd imagine those prices somewhat hold near that level. unique links for each account, or yeah, limits on horses per account, or limits on horses per IP address, or an actual 5-minute cooldown period. I don't know, that wasn't working, that's for sure. BK, that's unlucky. Got a horse purchase screen and then got blockchain fail. Yeah, there's some of that going on. BK, there's nothing much you can do about it, mate. Look, if you don't, if you can't wait for beta to be over, then maybe go and find a project that's established. But is there the same sort of future potential starting with a game that's in beta as opposed to something that's already established and the market's completely established? Like, that's what it comes down to. You got to take the good with the bad. The good is the potential. The bad is it's not perfect. It's just what it is. And if you can't get your head around that, then maybe Zed Run at this particular point is not for you. Come back in 12 months. Maybe the prices have gone up. Maybe the prices have gone down. And the game should have improved. Yeah, good point, Monica. I think that might work. Let's have a look. Oh, I just skipped all those questions again. Travis, yeah, I got one of those. I had 2 accounts and my second account got the email without the hyperlink. But that's good news because they're setting up a separate private drop and hopefully they'll be able to keep out the link sharers or give us, I don't know, some way of doing that. And I might even use that drop to try and buy a Z8 or a Z9 or a Z10 and put it as a giveaway. We'll see how that goes. You're back. Got distracted with work. Did you miss the robot voice, Jamie? Got 2 Z6 Gen fillies yesterday. Just choose the best racing genetics you can from the breeding barn, Joseph, would be my advice. Are the Poseidon community racing their Genesis horses? I'm not sure. I'm not racing my Genesis. I will race them. I'm not racing them yet. I'm waiting for breeding to open. And then what happens is when breeding opens, you get these really weak Griffin races with heaps of Z15s, Z22s, Z50s. And then I put my Genesis in there and you often will get off to a flying 1-win start. And even if your horse is not that great, that 1 win is really important in making it look potentially better than what it is, to be honest. And look, if there is one job in Zed as a Zed trainer, that is the one job. That's your job, is to make your horse look better than what it potentially is. It's as simple as that. And it's not deceptive, it's your job as a trainer. If you're a real life trainer, it's to get the owner's wins from a horse that potentially isn't up for too many wins. All right, that is the job of you. Whether that means putting your horse in free races, whether it means looking for little weaker races where you can put your horse in, like now, with so many races stacked up, the races are much, much weaker than what they'll be in probably 2 weeks' time. Yeah, that's the job of a Zed trainer, is to make your horses look as best as they possibly can be. All right, it's not deceptive. That's the name of the game. So I will be waiting, personally, I'll be waiting to race my Genesis once breeding opens and everyone starts throwing in Z22s, Z34s, all those kind of horses. This could be a record time chat, couldn't it? Are we getting close? Come on, guys. Are we getting close to 1,000 subs? Are we getting close? I'll check the audio in a moment. Are we going? No, 15 to go. I'm not staying on until we get 1,000. I'll be on here all day. I'm not staying on until then. We'll be there tomorrow. We'll celebrate 1,000. CJ Rise. Would it be worth selling my decent ones I bought on OpenSea for a profit now or not? Depends where you think this game is going. I mean, you can get a quick short profit for sure. If you got some Z8s, 9s, 10s, 7s, you can flip them now for 5x. Easy, probably. But do you think that 5x, you know, where do you if this game lasts 5 years, what are those horses going to be worth? That's the question. And are you willing to wait 5 years? And are you willing to take on the risk that the game might completely flop and the horses are worth next to nothing. Yeah, so there's easy money right there. You could sell one and cover your costs. That's always a good way. Z10 raffle winners, I don't know. I didn't even know about the raffle. Good luck. I hope some Poseidon followers win the raffle. You guys are all chatting in between yourselves. Anyway, I tried every wave and still didn't get one. Sorry about that, Contenad. Hopefully you get one next time. Luke, Genesis Z10 with 10% win rate. I think that's worth a hold. I think you'll probably get, you know, breed it with the best you can. See how you go. Build your stable. What odds are you looking to breed with? Myself, I'm looking for a good win rate, 15 to 20%. And then odds I'm looking for, you know, in really, really strong races, I'm looking for sort of 8s, 9s, 10s. In weaker races, I'm wanting 5, 6, 7s or lower. Obsessed with Zed Run, can't wait for breeding. Yeah, breeding's awesome. Great genetics. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, it was a bit of a terror drop, wasn't it? Savon. Camillo. Yeah, get some sleep, mate. Get some sleep. Camillo's up at 3:40 in the morning. Get some sleep. This has been a long sesh, so. All right, let's wrap this up. It's been a long sesh. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the sub button and help me get to 1,000 subs. You got a Z8 rare colour at the drop. That's awesome, Mikaro. What's the best plan? Race, breed, buy a female? Go back and watch the start of the video. But mate, look for the best. What was it, a colt? Try and find the best racing mares on Zed Run and start messaging the Discorders. Try and find those stables on Discord and ask them if they want to breed 50-50 swap with you. You can find 3 or 4 females that want to do that. With your one stud, you can get 7 more horses in your stable, or maybe at least 6. And then maybe leave your horse in stud and pick up the last cover from someone else. You know, someone else might breed the 7th and then wait a month, do the same thing again. Try and find, maybe breed again with those same mares if they're really good mares, or maybe try and find another 3 mares to breed with. Build your stable up really quickly that way. With that in mind, you know, mares are great because you can pick and choose studs from the breeding barn, but if you're really willing to do the hard work and find those stable owners behind the scenes, you can build up much faster with a stallion, can't you, with a colt, because you can potentially have 6 or 7 offspring per month if you can do the hard work and find those other good mares to breed with. Oh, look, Joseph, I think you've got a lot of time to mess around. Joseph said, I said that breeding based on racing genetics is a good idea. I agree. So just find a high win percentage stud. Yeah, take the odds into account too, because you can get and also you want a high win percentage with a horse that's somewhat proven, like 50 races or so. That's when you know that there's probably not too much funny business manipulation going on. And then if it's paid racing or free racing, and check the odds and do a little bit of research that way, but it doesn't really matter. I don't know it really matters all that much about Z numbers, you know. If you want to breed with a high level, high win percentage Z1, you might have to pay $15,000 or $20,000. Now that's not going to be in the budget of many people that have a really nice Z10. So you might have to, by, you know, terms of budget, go with more of a 7, 8 or 9. Although, if your horse is like an absolute freak Z7, 8 or 9 and seems to be one of the best 7, 8 or 9s, then absolutely contact me, because I will potentially offer you a breed with one of my high-end Z1s if your horse is good enough. Okay, so keep that in mind too. All right. Well, I'll just touch on Swarm Prank's 50-50 swap exactly. So basically I keep my eye out for the best races in the game. And then what I'll do is I'll try and find that stable on Discord, or my brother will try and find that stable on Discord, and I'll say, hey, Your horse, we called the horse Lollipop before. Your horse Lollipop it looks like it's an incredible horse, great low odds, great win percentage, really performs really well against the top fields. I think it's one of the best horses in the game. Would you like to breed 2 horses with Insane Him? You know, Insane Him being one of the best Z2s in the game. And what we can do is we will go 50-50 costs. So we'll split the costs of the breeding 50-50 and then we'll take 1 offspring each. All right, and that's basically how you do a 50-50 swap. Now, when the breeding comes in, what you do, one side of the equation has the costs to breed with the stud. Now, depending on what the price of the stud is, that cost varies. And then on the other side of the equation, whoever has the stallion or the colt gets the commission. So there's a net positive on one side and a net negative on the other side. So you have to bring those two together to get your 50-50 swap. You have to account for the commission and also account for the cost. All right, that's how you get that 50-50 swap. Head back to the start UFO. No, there's about 20 minutes of robot voice in the middle. You might want to skip that, but we might even delete it, but pretty good content. I'll probably just leave it, to be honest. Probably just leave it. Okay. Andrew, a couple more questions. When would you guess the next drop is? It could be as given that there was a bit of a screw up, I would suggest that it could be another month away now. If it all went smoothly and was perfect and it was a very good solution, I would suggest that they would have done it again this weekend, this coming weekend, or at least maybe the following weekend, so 2 weeks after the drop. But given the solution was pretty horrible and there wasn't too many people that enjoyed it apart from the ones that took advantage, I would suggest that they're going to go back to the drawing board, and that might mean we have to wait another 3 or 4 weeks, I would think. Couple more questions before we wrap up. Raymond says, it sounds like you were talking about private breeding, kind of. How do you stop people from jamming into your swaps? So what Raymond's talking about is all breeding is currently public, so you've got to put your stud, your stallion into the public breeding barn, and then it's there accessible for everyone. So generally what I do, I have my 7 breeds all lined up ready to go, and whether that happens to be 2 from me personally, 2 from my brother's stable, I'll have him online, and then if I've got 2 other mares ready to go, or maybe 1 other mare ready to go, I'll have them online. Either we're doing a Zoom chat or on the Discord. I'm like, right, I'm putting in grandeur in 30 seconds. Make sure you're refreshing that screen and be ready to grab 2 straight away, like boom, boom. And we can get those horses like Grandeur or Breathless Edge generally in and out of stud within probably 20 seconds. Okay, so that's the way to do it. So again, sort of sharing or finding these other equal epic mares. Like I'd love to do a breed with Baroque, but Good Boy Racing is keeping those genetics very tightly held. So that is what it is. It is what it is. And but yeah, having those breeds all set up ready to go and having a couple of other people breeding with your top line horses is also good because it gets them in and out of breeding really quickly. And then if you're doing a 50-50 swap, for example, look, if I was trying to breed 7 of my own horses breeds with Grandeur and I had to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that might take me 2 minutes if I was doing it all by myself. And the chances are I lose a couple of horses. If there's bots involved, I might lose 4 or 5 of those. Who knows? If there's bots just scanning, just going, Grandeur, boom, let's go. And that will be interesting as well. If there are bots involved, then I'm going to have to raise my prices of, like, at the moment, I can put Grandeur in for like a stud fee of, say, the minimum, which might be $1,000 or $750. All right, but those offspring are probably worth closer to $10,000 or $15,000 usually. If the bots figure that out and they start stealing a bunch of horses from me, then what I'm going to be forced to do is have to put my prices up to, say, $12,000 stud fee. But keep in mind, I get 55% of that back, or something like that, or 35%, sorry, it might be. And if my brother's breeding with grandeur, we get 55% of that back coming from another stable. So, yeah, I mean, preferably from my perspective, I would like to keep getting away with putting grandeur in at $1,000 or whatever the minimum happens to be. But if we're getting horses stolen, I'm going to have to push that up. But at the moment, you know, I'll try and put him in at cheap and try and get him in and out within 30 seconds. And the only way, you know, you have to be really, really lucky to steal a grandeur breed off me. If I've got 3 or 4 people lined up to help me get those breeds out of there as quick as possible. Or if you've got a bot set up, which is kind of scanning for names and then just, you know, has mares lined up ready to just take them. It would be interesting to see if anyone's gone that far. Hopefully, let's hope Zed Run tries really, really hard to stop bots, like with a capture form or something. I mean, capture kind of sucks too, because then that's going to slow me down from getting the horses out. But yeah, to be honest, I don't think bot breeding is something we really want in the game. I don't know, do you guys agree with that? Because it's not something that's accessible to the wide Zed community. So it's only the few that have those skills to develop the bots that are then taking advantage of that. And I don't think that's something we want to encourage particularly. You know, when you finally get an epic racing horse, you go, yes, I've got the best horse in the game. It's a Z10, or a Z2 Legend, and it's absolutely phenomenal. And then you go to put it in breeding, and you think, I'll put it in breeding, I'll get 7 horses, I'll be able to sell them. And you put it in there, someone's got a bot set up with your horse's name tagged on it, and you might get 1 horse and they get 6. I don't think that's something we want in the game, to be honest. And I think if that did come into the game, it would encourage the overall community, and it would encourage Zed Run, the developers, to bring in private breeding. Now, I don't want private breeding in there as long as breeding is fair game and people can just snipe a horse if they're in the right place at the right time. But once you start adding the bots in there and they're just taking advantage of, you know, of the breeding system, then I think all of a sudden you get this huge outcry that we want to be able to breed from behind closed doors, and you stop getting that sniper system and you take a really fun, exciting element out of the game. Let's see what happens. All right, we'll wrap that up there. Geez, we might have been going for an hour and a half now. Or maybe, how long have we been going? 2 hours? We got 55 viewers, 50 likes. We can push that above the 100% surely before we close that down. If you haven't liked already, that's the entry fee. If you don't enjoy the content, just switch it to a thumbs down. Andrew, no, I think I just answered that. Can you breed with your stable without going public? No, you can't, as yet. Breeding back, I would expect breeding to be back in a couple of weeks. There's apparently an announcement from the Zed team on breeding in the next 48 hours. Keep your eye on Discord, or keep your eye in Poseidon Facebook group, link below. I will put the announcement in that group as soon as I see it. Are you still setting up private breeding, or have you filled up already? I think you mentioned 4 Ethereum. 4 Ethereum, yeah, look, I am setting up private breeding. And what I mean by that is you can breed with the likes of my top-end horses, Insane Him, Breathless Edge, Grandeur, Alive After 5, and a few others of absolutely top-line horses. But because it takes a lot of time, at one point I was going to do private breeding all the way down. So if you said, oh, you've got this horse, it looks to be reasonable, I'd like to do a breed with it, then potentially I was going to do that. But I quickly found out that with 80 horses in my stable, across my stables, that the time to sort of line those all up and spreadsheet them all out wasn't going to work. So for the vast majority of my horses, I'm going to breed them in combinations myself and then sell the offspring. But for my top line horses, Insane Him, Grandeur, Breathless Edge, Alive After 5, you can contact me and say, hey, I've got this incredible mare, I would like to breed, I'm willing to pay 3 ETH, 4 ETH, 5 ETH. And depending on the demand, you might be able to breed with that and take those offspring. Or even, I was currently setting up and talking to people out about taking all 7 of, say, grandeur or all 7 offspring of Breathless Edge for a bit of a bulk deal price. But, you know, we're talking the higher end of Ethereum. I will have lower end horses as offspring to sell. So don't think that all my horses are 4 or 5 ETH, because it's not the case. It's just not the case. I will have horses starting from, hopefully, as low as maybe 0.1, 0.2. We'll see. We'll see, because I've just got some new Z8s, Z9s, and we'll see. We should be able to breed those in for some lower end horses as well. If you haven't already joined my Offspring Advance Notice sales page, little last plug for me here, have a look in the description below. I've got an email list where you'll get advance notice on my Offspring sales when they hit the market. All right, that's it. Bots shouldn't be an aspect of Zed. They're going to be at some point, but how Zed reacts could be interesting. I don't want to see private breeding, because I think the public breeding is just so much fun. Even for me, it gets the heart pumping when I put Grandeur or Breathless Edge in there. Am I going to be able to get all 7 back out? I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. Thank you so much for watching along. We've had a huge session. We've got 53 viewers, 53 likes. That is incredible. We always love to finish at 100% there. I'll come back tomorrow, and hopefully we don't have any more robot mishaps. I might stick the earpiece in so I can hear what's going on at live, real time. All right, thanks for watching along. Hit the sub button if you haven't already. We'll catch you next time. Bye for now.